Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with Alex. Today we're doing a full breakdown and analysis on Jason Dominguez. As you're probably thinking, he's probably 27 years old, like the guy from Benchwarmers who slipped the umpire a $10 bill saying, I am 16 or whatever the number was. I'm 13, I'm 12. Jason Dominguez feels like he's been in the Yankees minor league system for a freaking millennia. But the truth is he's only 22 years old. And Jason Dominguez is just reaching his developmental prime, really. And he honestly might be a couple years away from his physical prime. So I do think that right now, the Yankees are entering a kind of process with him, a stage in his growth and development. He's on the upswing. And I think that Jason Dominguez is just starting to scratch the surface on what his potential actually looks like. And that's really exciting. So we're going to break down what he's done so far this season and why he's set up perfectly for a big second half of the year. So the numbers don't lie when it comes to Jason Dominguez. He's slashing .266 with a .343 OBP and a .417 slugging rate with 8 homers and .760 OPS through the first half of the year. Those are pretty impressive numbers. The last couple of months specifically, he's been excellent. And he's rocking a 114 WRC+, meaning he's performing 14% better than the average MLB hitter. For rookie, I'd say that's not only impressive, that's astounding. The expectations for him are about league average. He's been 14% better than league average. Under the hood, 90th percentile in hard hit rate. That's not good. That's actually elite. And the guy is scoring up baseballs like he's on a mission to prove. The Martian nickname isn't just a gimmick. It's a prophecy. And right now, I'd say all the great things, all the expectations that fans and analysts have had for him over the past couple of years, and it feels like much longer than that, are starting to come to fruition offensively. He's absolutely fantastic. And as a switch hitter, we're going to talk about just how great he's been against right-handed pitching. His primary side is left-handed batting. So the numbers there are scary good. And if he can get a little bit better, as a right-handed batter against left-handed pitching, his numbers, he could be one of the best offensive players on this team. And long-term, that is an absolute asset. It's not just the full sample either. Dominguez has been absolutely scorching lately. June, fantastic. July, even better. Second half of this year, he has the capacity, in my opinion, to make a substantial impact offensively and even defensively. He's been much better. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what Dominguez has really improved on, I would say, the slugging metrics, the raw power starting to shine through. He's making really good swing decisions. They've been using him as the leadoff hitter at times in place of Trent Grisham, and I think that his leadoff hitting has been excellent. In zone, he's fantastic. And, that's kind of what I like so much about him as such a young player. He has so much confidence and control in the strike zone. He's able to make contact. He's able to make pitchers work, take pitches. That type of discipline, I'd say, is extremely mature for a player of his age, 22-year-old rookie for the most part. That is going to be extremely helpful for him long-term, and this team is going to benefit exponentially because of it. And it's kind of like Aaron Judge back in 2017, that kind of small fire turned into a blazing fire overnight. He just became one of the best hitters. The small tweaks, that discipline, I think Dominguez, playing alongside Judge, you learn the small details. You learn how to keep your head balanced, how to kind of approach the game, how to kind of approach each individual pitch as its own battle. I think that you're seeing the development of him, not just because he's put the work in and that work ethic is obvious, but because he has such good leadership, from Aaron Judge batting righty and then Cody Bellinger batting lefty. You have so many different pieces to take and absorb information from. I think Dominguez really is going to benefit from that this season. He already has. And now that he's kind of staying healthy, knock on wood, and he's making that progress, he's not turning back. That was what we always said about Dominguez when he was in the minors. The second he started to figure it out, he would just continue to build forward. And I think that's what's so special about him. The only thing that has really ever set him back was injury. He's always gotten to that point where he broke out and then he just stayed there and he got better and better and better. And he wasn't just a streaky hitter. He was a blazing hot hitter. And that's kind of what the Yankees are seeing right now from him. So that's really, really exciting. So let's talk about what he's doing against right-handed pitching as a left-handed batter. That's impressive. And right now, .296 batting average against right-handed pitching with a .370 on base percentage and a .471 slugging rate. That's an .841 OPS. That's not just good for a rookie. That's middle of the lineup production for any team in baseball, in my opinion. The Yankees have steadily faced a heavy diet of righties, as many teams do, because it's the most prominent arm in baseball, just naturally. And Dominguez has held his own and then some. It's a huge reason why he's earned more consistent starts and more big at bats and more trust in games right now as the primary leadoff man. You don't just throw a rookie into the leadoff spot if you don't have absolute confidence. And he's taken that role and he is just dominating. And I think that really sets the stage for the second half of this year. That level of confidence, that poise, that ice in his veins, it's going to go a really long way towards helping this team anchor the top of that lineup. And they've been kind of finding that balance at leadoff. Trent Grisham's been a bit slow at times. He's obviously having a great season, but having another option in Dominguez who can bat lefty and hit leadoff is special. So, long term, I think Dominguez actually might be our leadoff man in 2026 and, in the foreseeable future as well. So against left-handed pitching, that's where Dominguez tends to struggle. That's his kryptonite. He's hitting only 195 against southpaws with a 280 OBP and a 293 slugging rate. But honestly, this is pretty normal for switch hitters, especially guys who are stronger on the left side. Even older switch hitters really have those kind of volatile splits. So against left-handed pitching, he is struggling. He's had his moments, but again, 22 years old, he's going to improve over time. That's really what I'm most interested to see. The Yankees have done a pretty good job only kind of deploying him against right-handed pitching. And I think that has, kind of the results are obvious at this point in time. So they'll continue to platoon him in that way. They'll continue to utilize him late in games in critical moments. They can throw him in there if, they have a southpaw starting and then a right-handed pitcher comes in later on. Dominguez can be the next man up in the outfield or obviously offer a great pinch runner, pinch hitter. They can use him in so many different ways. So that having a weapon like that to deploy in any given moment is just another piece of the puzzle the Yankees can utilize this upcoming second half of the season and beyond. So defensively, this is where Dominguez has obviously been more of a liability than a solution. The first couple of weeks, we saw the issues shine pretty badly. It was rocky. Right now, he has -4 defensive runs saved, -5 outs above average, over 539 innings in the outfield. Now, to be fair, about -3 of those defensive runs and -3 of those outs above average came within the first month and a half of the season. So he was a lot more consistent. Lately, he's had a couple of balls go over his head, a couple of bad angles, but this is still a learning process. It's his first full season in left field in Yankee Stadium and really at all. He had never really been a left fielder. He had been a center fielder, but the Yankees had Bellinger and he's been excellent defensively. So I think that it was the right decision, for lack of a better term. They needed to test him at this spot, and I think that he's learning on the go. We've seen him go pretty long stretches without being a liability. Now, he's not going to be some elite left fielder that guns guys out at second base, and he's got a decent arm. He's not going to make diving catches all the time, but he can do things at an average level with his bat. I will take average defense in left field every single day of the week if it means Dominguez is in this lineup, and if he can get to that level, I think you and I will be pretty happy with that kind of result. The maturity is what really stands out to me for Dominguez, and it's a tool, in my opinion. How he handles the big moments, how he handles critical high leverage situations. There's no panic in his game, no deer in the headlights. He watches at bats and he's calm, composed, calculated. He's not chasing junk out of the zone. He's making pitchers come to him. And when they do, he's always ready to pounce on every strike and even can battle off some, borderline strikes and balls. I think that's really what makes him such a special young hitter. The discipline is there. And I think that it's only going to continue to compound over time. And the fact he's doing it as a Yankee in Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, Friday night lights, that is not easy. We've seen much older players. I mean, Joey Gallo, think about the guys that have failed, Jacoby Ellsbury. How many guys have failed to become that kind of star player that the Yankees hope they would be? Dominguez has that ice in his veins. He's ready for that opportunity, and it does not faze him at all, which, in my opinion, is extremely special. So we shouldn't. This is why Jason Dominguez is important to the Yankees' future, and obviously the present as well. He's under team control, extremely cheap for the next 5 years until he's even a free agent, and he's got superstar upside against right-handed pitching. I'm looking for average upside against left-handed pitching. That's really all I need to see. If he's average against lefties, I'm happy with that. I think you guys would be too. If Judge is the face of the franchise for now, Dominguez long-term, let's see what he becomes. I think Judge captain, he's the man, and they really need to maximize what's happening. As you talked about Eugenio Suarez yesterday on the podcast, and ultimately, what that means, the trade deadline, and helping maximize this core group of players right now in the season that Judge is having. But Dominguez kind of bubbling to the surface here, landing. This is a big deal for this team. They needed him to perform like this offensively, and he's been doing it, and he's going to continue doing it. So sustainable success, good player development, lots of expectations, and this young 22-year-old switch hitter is living up to them so far, in my opinion. So the final thoughts, Dominguez has the bat, he has the swagger, and the raw tools to be one of the Yankees' next stars. I'd say he's well on his way at this point. Now, it's not just about staying healthy, staying confident, and getting the opportunity. And if that happens, we're not talking about just a solid rookie year. We're talking about a launch sequence for the next Yankees core. I would say based on what we've seen so far, Dominguez is right up there in terms of rookie of the year voting. We'll see how he votes out and what happens there, but he's having a good enough offensive season. There are plenty of other players obviously in the mix there, so he's got to have a really good second half of the year. But let me know, how do you guys think about Jason Dominguez? How high do you think his ceiling is? Is he the real deal? Can he get better defensively? Drop your comments in the YouTube section down below. Make sure to smash that like button if you believe in the Martian. And don't forget to subscribe, because the kid's just getting started, and so are we.
Perfect.